How can you tell if an avoidant is in love with you? Some people fall hard but stay quiet about it, completely quiet. Avoidants are masters at hiding their deepest feelings, especially when those feelings become overwhelming. They can be completely consumed by thoughts of you while appearing totally indifferent on the surface. Emotional obsession for them doesn't look like dramatic declarations or obvious pursuit. It looks like carefully controlled behavior that masks intense internal preoccupation. The irony is striking. The more an avoidant becomes emotionally fixated on someone, the more they might seem to pull away or act unaffected. Their obsession gets buried under layers of self-protection because admitting that level of emotional investment feels too dangerous. But obsession leaves traces. Even the most controlled avoidant can't completely hide when someone has taken over their mental and emotional space. There are 5 specific signs that reveal when an avoidant is secretly consumed by thoughts of you, even while they maintain their composed exterior. The first sign is their hypervigilant awareness of your emotional state. They become experts at reading your moods from the smallest details. They notice changes in your voice tone during phone calls. They pick up on subtle shifts in your energy that other people miss completely. They can tell when something's bothering you before you've fully realized it yourself. This heightened sensitivity happens because when an avoidant is emotionally obsessed, you become their primary focus of attention. They're unconsciously monitoring your emotional temperature at all times. Your happiness directly affects their internal stability, so they develop radar-like awareness of anything that might threaten your well-being. They'll never say, "I've been studying your facial expressions to determine your mood." Instead, they'll casually ask if everything's okay when you thought you were hiding your stress perfectly. They notice when you seem quieter than usual. They pick up on changes in your texting patterns that would be invisible to most people. This level of emotional surveillance isn't creepy or calculated. It's what happens when someone becomes so important to an avoidant that their nervous system starts treating your emotional state as critical information for their own stability. The depth of this awareness is remarkable. They know which topics make you uncomfortable before you change the subject. They recognize when you're forcing enthusiasm about something you don't actually care about. They can sense when you're holding back from saying what you really think. The second sign is that they become unusually available to you. Avoidants typically guard their time and energy carefully. They maintain strict boundaries about when and how they can be reached. But when they're emotionally obsessed, those boundaries start shifting in your favor without any formal announcement. Their response time to your messages gets faster. They make exceptions to their usual communication patterns. They become reachable during times when they're normally unavailable to everyone else. You start getting priority access to their attention without asking for it. They'll interrupt their own activities to respond to you. They'll make time for conversations even when their schedule is packed. They'll be available for plans when they usually prefer advance notice. This increased availability happens gradually and might not be obvious at first. But if you pay attention, you'll notice that rules they apply to everyone else don't seem to apply to you. Their typical response delays shrink. Their usual excuses for being unavailable disappear. The shift is subtle but significant. An avoidant who's emotionally obsessed will reorganize their entire approach to time management around ensuring they don't miss opportunities to connect with you, even while maintaining the appearance of casual availability. The third sign is their unusual interest in your connections with other people. When an avoidant becomes emotionally obsessed, they develop intense curiosity about your relationships with others. Not jealousy exactly, more like a need to understand your complete social ecosystem, because you've become central to their emotional world. They ask more questions about your friends than feels natural. They remember details about people in your life that seem unimportant. They show interest in your family dynamics and work relationships. They want to understand how you interact with others and where they fit in your broader social context. This interest extends to casual mentions of other people. They'll follow up on stories about coworkers. They'll ask about friends you mentioned weeks ago. They seem to be building a comprehensive map of everyone who has influence in your life. Sometimes this manifests as subtle competitiveness with people who are close to you. not obvious rivalry, but a quiet need to understand what others provide that they might not. They want to know what makes you laugh with certain friends. They're curious about what you talk about with your family. The underlying drive is their need to understand every aspect of someone who has become their emotional focal point. They can't admit they're consumed by thoughts of you, so instead they gather information about your world as a way of feeling closer to your experience. The fourth sign is that they remember and reference your past conversations obsessively. An emotionally obsessed avoidant doesn't just listen to what you say, they catalog it. They remember details from conversations that happened months ago. They bring up things you mentioned in passing. They reference your thoughts and opinions in contexts that surprise you. This goes beyond the normal attention to detail that avoidants show when they care about someone. This is comprehensive mental archiving of everything you've ever shared with them. They're building a complete database of your thoughts, preferences, dreams, and casual observations. They'll mention something you said during your third conversation. They'll remember your opinion about a movie you discussed briefly weeks ago. They'll bring up concerns you shared once and never mentioned again. Your words have become their mental soundtrack. The most telling aspect is how they weave these references into new conversations. They don't just remember what you said. They think about it, process it, and find ways to connect it to current situations. Your past statements become part of their ongoing internal dialogue about you. This level of retention and reference happens because when an avoidant is emotionally obsessed, everything you say becomes significant. No casual comment gets dismissed. No throwaway observation gets forgotten. They're hanging on to your words because they're hanging on to you. The fifth sign is their body language betrays their emotional state around you. While avoidants excel at controlling their words and actions, emotional obsession affects their physical presence in ways that are harder to manage. Their body language reveals the intensity of their internal experience even when their behavior remains carefully controlled. They position themselves to maintain visual contact with you in group settings. They orient their body toward you during conversations, even when talking to other people. Their physical attention follows you around rooms in subtle but consistent ways. Their touch patterns change too. They might find more reasons for brief physical contact. They linger slightly longer during hugs. They position themselves closer to you than strictly necessary during shared activities. Eye contact becomes more intense, but also more carefully managed. They look at you longer when they think you're not paying attention. They study your face during conversations with an intensity that suggests they're memorizing details. But they're also quicker to look away when caught staring. Their nervous energy increases around you. They might fidget more, adjust their posture frequently, or seem slightly more animated than their usual composed demeanor. The effort of maintaining emotional control while feeling internally obsessed creates physical tension that's difficult to completely hide. Even their breathing patterns can change during interactions with you. The physiological effects of emotional intensity are hard to suppress entirely, and an observant person can notice these subtle shifts in someone who's trying to appear unaffected. When control meets obsession. These 5 signs reveal the internal struggle of an avoidant who's become emotionally consumed by someone while maintaining their protective barriers. The hypervigilant emotional awareness, unusual availability, interest in your social connections, obsessive conversation memory, and revealing body language all point to someone whose inner world has been completely reorganized around you. The paradox is that the stronger their obsession becomes, the more they might seem to maintain distance in obvious ways. They won't confess their feelings or make dramatic gestures, but their behavior will show the truth of their emotional state through these subtle but consistent patterns. An avoidance obsession is quiet obsession. It operates through heightened attention rather than dramatic action, through availability rather than pursuit, through detailed memory rather than romantic gestures, through physical tension rather than emotional confession. Understanding these signs doesn't mean the person will ever admit to their emotional state. Avoidance can remain in this pattern of hidden obsession for extended periods, never directly acknowledging the intensity of their feelings. They might be completely preoccupied with thoughts of you while successfully maintaining the appearance of casual interest. The question becomes whether you can appreciate being deeply important to someone who expresses that importance through subtle behavior rather than obvious declaration. Whether you can recognize emotional obsession when it comes wrapped in self-control rather than dramatic display. Your emotional needs matter in this dynamic too. You're allowed to need clear communication about feelings and intentions, but recognizing when an avoidant is emotionally obsessed gives you accurate information about their internal state, even when their external behavior remains carefully managed. If you're seeing these 5 patterns consistently, you're likely dealing with someone whose emotional world revolves around you, even if they'll never say so directly. Their obsession is real. It just operates according to their emotional comfort zone, rather than traditional expressions of intense feeling. Have you noticed these signs in someone's behavior toward you? Let me know in the comments which one feels most familiar from your experience. If this helped you recognize the hidden intensity behind controlled behavior, like this video and subscribe for more insights about the complex ways people express deep feelings. Thanks for watching.